On today's episode of Water Cooler Weekly, we are joined by VFL footballer Liam Hunt. Liam dives into his career path to date and goes into explain his mindset when dealing with the highs and lows of trying to make it at the highest level. He gives plenty of great insight and advice for young footballers finding themselves heading down the same path, and touches on what has been a career filled with learning experiences so far. If you can please like and subscribe wherever you see or listen to this episode, that would be amazing. But most importantly, please enjoy the episode. Let's go. All right, it's my pleasure to welcome on now Williamstown Seagulls midfielder Liam Hunt. Liam, how you doing today?
Oz, going well yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. First off, before we get into the nitty gritty, how's life? How's life going? COVID?
Yeah, life's pretty boring at the moment, but not working. Obviously through the lockdown, pretty much just sitting on my ass at the moment. A lot of Netflix, a lot of Stan. But yeah, I'm a chippy by trade, so fourth year apprentice. So through this time, I was able to do a bit more schooling, so that's where it was a positive. Could smack that out. I've got one more week left to do, and then hopefully work can pick up in the next 2-3 weeks. Obviously no footy, but training for a marathon, so at least that's keeping me busy.
Yeah, right.
So a couple of hours every morning.
Plenty of R&R time with the missus.
Plenty. She's working from home too, so yeah, it's not a bad thing. We can annoy each other at times, but no, overall, it's been good fun. Spent a lot of time with the dog, but like I said, a lot of TV time, a lot of word finds in the paper, but yeah, no, not too much, mate.
Yeah, good to hear. We'll get stuck into it. As I mentioned from the top, you are currently playing for Williamstown in the VFL. You're a pretty distinguished footballer from the Diamond Valley. So we'll start off your junior career where you plied your trade as a skinny little rat-looking like kid. So you grew up playing at Eltham. A couple of good names that you played with. One being Marcus Bontempelli. The others you can roll through some names if you want. Talk a bit about playing in a team like that and just absolutely shit kicking other teams.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good. And to play alongside Marcus was unreal. Obviously, he's a star now, but early days, he probably wasn't as good as what he is now. He was probably only third or fourth in the chain in our team.
Are you saying he was below you on the chain?
No, not saying that. I'm saying there was other good players amongst us.
I think that's what you're trying to say.
What I'm trying to say is he's a late bloomer. Like he came good under 18s, almost late under 18s, and he was almost just one of those fourth or fifth best players in your team. And we had a really good lineup. We had a lot of B graders, which got us to where we were. We won 5 flags in a row, so 11s, 12s, 13s, 14s, and 15s. Yeah, which was unreal. And then me and Marcus made a move from skipping under 16s to go to under 17s.
Yeah.
So we were bottom age, I think. Yeah, I think that's it. And we went for 6 flags in a row and we lost the granny by 10 goals to West Preston. So my old man coached me for 3 of the 5, sorry, I think. Won a couple of BNFs in there, I think. Maybe a coach's award or 2.
A couple of coaches' awards.
But other
couple of McDonald's vouchers.
Yeah, a couple. But yeah, overall, pretty successful and pretty lucky to be in such a good team.
Yeah, right. I guess probably the next question I've got on that is, at what point in your junior career did you realise that you were probably going to be able to move on to, say, Northern Knights, TAC Cup? At what stage did you sort of understand that, okay, I'm probably better than the level of competition I'm playing in right now?
I actually thought I was handy, but I didn't think I was one of the better players because I reckon I was sort of a late bloomer too. I was skinny, slow, which I still am now.
Yeah.
Probably not as skillful, and there was other guys that grew a lot faster than me when we were juniors, so they were probably better than me. And then when it came to sort of NFL teams, Northern Knights teams, under 15s, under 16s, I wasn't making them purely because I just probably wasn't big enough. And as they are now, they're still choosing athletes to be in their teams. Probably not so much as it was when I was going around, I reckon. It was more just sort of the athlete type. And that's probably where I probably wasn't getting a look in, under 15s, under 16s. And then lucky enough to get a call up, bottom age 18s, and then play 3 years there. I think I played about 25 games, 6 or 7 in my first year, I reckon. 8 or 9, and then 8 or 9, I reckon, something along those lines. I had 5 or 6 weeks of injury, I reckon, each year. Was close my top age year to potentially get picked up. Had 3 interviews with Collingwood, Sydney, and Essendon.
Yeah, right.
Thinking I was half a chance. And then, when my name wasn't called, I was pretty flat at the time. Thinking
talk me through that. Talk me through that day. I'm guessing I can remember where I was. I was in America, and a friend of ours, Brent, was keeping me updated. Run me through sort of how that day went for you, sort of the mindset you went through before it, and then I guess after, and dealing with the disappointment from not getting picked up.
Yeah, so basically at top age under 18s, we had a pretty successful year. We lost in the semi-final. I think we finished 5th. We probably made top 4. I think something very unlucky came in the last round. We should have won, but we didn't, I think, from memory, and we ended up falling to 5th on the ladder, which we probably should have finished 3rd or maybe even 2nd. And with the competition being so tight that year, we slipped out to 5th. We won our first final, but I missed out on the first final. I was actually crook all week. Jim fed me a bad chook, I reckon, on the Sunday night or something, so I missed the next game.
Bit of food poisoning.
Yeah, a bit of food poisoning or something. And then, so I missed out on that game. And pretty much, you got to play in the big games and play well in the big games if you want to get picked up. And I missed out on that game. I fronted up the next week and I did okay, not my best. And then probably going into the off season, I was thinking maybe I might get a look in at maybe a state screening, or if I was lucky, maybe a national combine. But fell out to the state screening, which I was pretty happy with. At least I got to go at testing and train for that. And then I didn't perform overly well. I think I ran like an 11, low 11s in the beat.
What happens? Just give us a run through on that state screening, because I have no idea what sort of tests and stuff are involved with that.
Yeah, so basically the state screening is just a 1-day testing. So you roll in. It was at Etihad, so you roll in there. You do all these testing on the ground, on the wing.
Yeah,
I think it was 5 or 6 tests: the repeat sprint, the 20-meter sprint, agility, jumps, and then it finished off with. I think the last one was the beat test, and the second last year was the repeat sprint. And then your legs are pretty gassed by the beep test, because you do the 5 or 6 tests. I think the top score might have been maybe a mid-12s.
Yeah.
And looking back, pretty disappointing. I don't think I performed well at all. And then you go back inside, you go upstairs, second level somewhere, and you fill out all these forms, medical, who you played for, blah, blah, blah. And I reckon that might have been about 3 or 4 weeks before the actual draft, the draft and the rookie. And I thought maybe I was half a sniff going into the draft, but not to be. And then I came rookie, and I thought, shit, I've had these 3 interviews. Like, surely I'm a fair shot. And then, not to be. And I was pretty flat there for like 2 or 3 weeks. I didn't know what I was going to do, really. I didn't have any work planned. I thought I almost put all my chips in one basket.
Yeah.
Looking back at it now, you probably should organise yourself a bit better, but I didn't. And then, yeah, that's how it sort of went.
I mean, yeah, it's obviously hindsight. It's very easy to say, you probably should have organised things or had sort of a plan B. But I have a lot of respect for people who do sort of go all in on chasing a dream and whatnot. So yeah, I think, and obviously we'll jump out of this and we'll get into sort of what you did sort of after the draft, and I think it sort of shows that yeah, you did in fact work out something else to do whilst also keeping one eye on the prize. So maybe just touch on the sort of getting over that sort of disappointment in the first few weeks, and then sitting down and going, all right, now it's time to play VFL. Let's find a club that will work for me, and let's sort of let's try and get into this from a different angle.
Yeah, so I probably had 2 or 3 weeks after that rookie draft where I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I got a call from, I don't know who it was, someone from the Northern Knights asking if I wanted to come back as a 19-year-old. And that sort of gave me the first look in at where I wanted to play for the next year. And I thought also that the Northern Blues coach was calling me soon after that and nagging me to come over and play with them full time or part time as well as you're working. But to not go down the Knights and 19-year-old pathway, to go to the VFL pathway. And yeah, I spoke to my parents and I wasn't sure there for a bit, and I thought, there's probably more eyes on the under-18s than the VFL. That's what I thought at the time. So I chose going down the under-19, the 19-year-old spot at the Knights. So I think they can invite 5 back on the list.
Yeah.
And usually those spots are available for the guys that either just miss out or have been injured.
Mm-hmm.
The year before in their top age years. I think I missed like 5 or 6 weeks with a shoulder injury, and I think that's where they thought, oh, we'll get him back.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose to go down that path. I don't think the Northern coach was too pleased, but went down that path, and I ended up playing, I reckon 8 or 9 games with them, and played 3 development games with Northern Blues as well as 3 VFL games. So all in all, it was a bit of a wasted year. Looking at it now, I should.
Why do you say that?
I just think I should have gone straight into the VFL. It would have. I reckon I would have grown as a player more quickly.
Yeah.
I think just getting thrown out with men instead of going back to where it probably was comfortable for me, where I was just playing with boys still.
Yeah.
And it probably would have developed my footy quicker.
Yeah, right.
I reckon.
How did you go in those 3 games and the development games that you played? Is that why you sort of look back on it and go, I should have been doing this for the whole season?
Yeah, and when I was there at Northern Blues, I was probably there for a total of probably 6-7 weeks, and I was training with them and everything, and I was really enjoying it. Like there was guys there that were my age, and there was a lot of guys there that are older, so it suited me. I was enjoying it more than being with sort of 16, 17-year-old kids where it was at Knights. And I played the 3 development games. Don't think I did that well. And I think at the stage they might have used all the 23rd players on their list or something for the VFL, so they had to sort of put me in there, whether I was playing well or not. I don't think I was, and I just got gifted a game almost. And I reckon I averaged about 5 or 6 touches each game in the VFL, like fully stunk it up.
Yeah.
Didn't go near it. I remember day out in Casey, it was about 3 degrees. It was like middle of July.
Beautiful.
It was a grouse day. And then I think I had maybe 3 or 4 touches thinking, this is all too hard. Like, how am I ever going to, get a kick here? Like, this is horrible. And I think I might have finished off the last few games at Knights, but yeah, looking back at it now, that year was a bit of a fizzer.
Yeah, bit of chopping and changing. I'm guessing the overage kids are sort of expected to really really dominate when they go back.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, probably like when you're a 19-year-old, you expected, like even probably the recruiters, they probably expect you to dominate because you're
Yeah,
playing against guys that are 1 or 2 years younger than you. And that probably has an element of pressure too. So, yeah, whether I dealt with it well enough or not, probably not. But if I had to give some advice to a 19-year-old coming through that has an option to stay with the Knights for 1 more year or whoever it is in the TAC Cup or to play VFL footy, I would recommend them to go straight to the VFL and it'll excel you more. And I reckon there's a lot more eyes on the VFL now as with mature age pickups.
yeah, absolutely.
I think there's just a lot more pros and cons on going to the VFL straight away instead of if you got that option to go back and play with your TAC team.
Yeah, you can probably answer questions about yourself as well. It's like a bit of a sink or swim sort of situation where you can see if you're up to the level or not pretty quickly. To whether you then pursue footy
They
or
sung two in the first 3 games of VFL. So I think I got a good look in on where I was at. So yeah, nah.
Well, I mean, you say you sunk in that situation, but you're still in the VFL. So I guess let's stick with that. So from the Northern Blues, what sort of happened? What happened there? Did you choose? Did you want to sort of go away from an AFL affiliated club to have sort of a better opportunity, or what was your mindset after that season?
Yeah, so I was pretty flat at the end of that year, just not sure where my footy was going, almost similar to the year before. And being in an AFL, VFL environment, it wasn't great in terms of game day because there's probably 10 to 15 AFL guys that float in and probably don't care.
Yeah.
So that's where it was tricky. Like you're putting in all this hard yards, and then you come up on game day and you're playing with guys that probably don't care as much as what you do. And that's probably where it's tricky too. As a young player coming through the VFL at an aligned club, you're always going to struggle getting a game because you're coming up against 15 other guys are going to be taking your spot. So there's probably only 7 or 8 spots are actually available.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to if you go to a standalone footy club, you got 23 spots and everyone's on the same page. There's 45 guys on the list. You train with them all the time.
The
you know
club's
each other
trying to
inside
develop
out.
you as well. That if you're affiliated with an AFL club, obviously they're going to put the time and resources into their listed players and sort of not the guys who are not affiliated. So that's understandable.
But then on the other side, you are training in elite environment, elite standards, elite facilities. So there's pros and cons to it. I think there's more pros on playing at a standalone club. So after that year, I pretty much wasn't sure what I wanted to do, whether to stay with the Northern Blues or go elsewhere and just do a pre-season somewhere. And lucky enough, Coburg actually got a hold of me and asked me if I wanted to go play with them. And I actually knew probably 7 or 8 guys that were already there that were either just in the Northern Footy League or that was at Knights with me. So I jumped at it straight away, new environment. Germo was the coach. Just heard stories about him, how much of a psycho really he is.
Probably the best kind of coaches.
Yeah, agreed. And it probably toughened me up a little bit. So I went there and, obviously spent a few years there. But loved it straight away. Just because, everyone's on the same page. You're with everyone 3 times a week. You're all training for one prize of winning a flag, really. And at an aligned club, you're really just filling in the numbers. So, that's where it was better. Yeah,
all right. So your time at Coburg was successful. You got a lot more midfield playing time, and you did make VFL Team of the Year and win a Best and Fairest. I guess At what point did you sort of notice, the shift in mindset from you and your first 3 games with the Northern Blues to when you were playing at Coburg going, oh shit, I know I can get enough of the ball here to be, a successful, midfielder in the VFL.
Yeah, so it probably took me still 12 months, I reckon, to adapt to playing in Coburg. I got a game early, and I played the first 4 or 5 games, and then it was at Williamstown where I hurt my knee, I hurt my PCL, and that kept me out for probably 2 months, I reckon. So overall, the last 4 or 5 years, I was missing probably a good chunk of footy every year, and it's just frustrating. And just really didn't know if I had it in me or not, to be honest. And then I come back from the injury, almost expecting to come straight back in the seniors, because I think I went okay in those first 4 or 5 games I was playing. And at that time, we were winning. Coburg were actually winning, and Germo almost said to me, I think he pretty much said to me, "There's no spot for you. We're winning. We're not going to change the winning formula." That's what he pretty much said to me. So I went off and played development footy for the next
Thanks,
7 rounds of the year. So I actually did not get a look in again that year. So almost at the end of that year, I think I'm probably 21, and I haven't made a mark or cemented the spot in the team. So it took me a while to find my feet, and then obviously had a solid pre-season the next year, and it all flowed on. And almost, I think I was playing on the wing early the next year, and I think we had a few injuries in the midfield, so it almost gave me a look in to play mid. So I almost had no choice to play me in there as a wingman, as they thought. And then I probably strung about 6 good quality games together. And that's almost what set me up and cemented my spot in the team. And then it sort of all flowed on from there. And then I had that good year the next year.
Do you think a big part of that was the fact that you were able to stay healthy? Because it seems like, the previous, say, 4 to 5 years before this, you had some kind of injury, whether it's your knee, your shoulder, whatever, you didn't seem to have a clean run at it. Do you reckon that played a massive part in it?
In terms of
you being able to sort of put together, say, 6 or 7 really strong games.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it was just frustrating where I was playing probably 4 or 5, solid good games, and then you get injured and you miss 5 or 6 throughout the middle of the year, and then you're sort of out of whack. Like you're just always doing catch up. You come back, you take 2 or 3 games to get going, and you've probably only got 2 or 3 games left. So that's where it was frustrating. It sort of never happened at the start of the year. At the end of the year, it was always sort of in the middle. And then, obviously that year when I was 22, I had a full year at it. Got an opportunity in the midfield, and that's probably what it takes. And we've got guys at Williamstown now, young guys. If you just stick it out, if you from when you're 19, 20, 21, if you just stick it out, your opportunity will come when you're 22, 23. There'll be a spot there. So, and that's what I did. I stuck fat, and I got that look in, and Germo didn't mind me from then on. Okay, but early days, it was a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, right. Okay, so you put together a good season and a half, and you make the VFL team of the year. Do you let the thought of potentially being drafted as a mature age? I shouldn't say mature age because you're not mature yet, but at an older age. Do you let that thought come back into your mind?
So what am I? I was 22 then, and I probably thought at the time this was probably my last year. And at the time, I reckon no one over the age of 21, 22 got drafted. I think nowadays, you get guys that are 25, 26 getting picked up in that mid-year draft. Yeah. But at the time, there was no mid-year draft. I thought, I've won the BNF Team of the Year. I've done it right in a team that struggled. It's not too bad going.
You're knocking on the door.
I'm knocking on the door, and I thought it was half a chance. and pretty much got no calls, got nothing, pretty much got donuts. So, and then that's probably when I thought, yeah, that's probably it for me in terms of getting drafted. And then I reckon since then, it's all about being team success for me. Like, I just want to win a VFL flag and playing a good team that's winning every week. So that's pretty much what my mindset was. That was almost my last go at it. I still think to this day I'm done. I just want to have VFL success and play at the level as long as I can. But yeah, that was pretty much my mindset at the end of that year. I thought, shit, if I'm not getting anything.
Is that a tough realization to come to?
Yeah, it is. And it is still to this day. Like, I still think that I'm good enough. But I'm not the only one out there that thinks they're good enough. Like, there's that many guys out there playing local footy, playing VFL footy that just are unlucky, like not getting a look in. And all it takes is just having a look in and getting your name picked, really. So, that's probably what makes me feel better, because there's that many other guys out there that I'm not just the only one.
Yeah. I mean, you look at, I think his name is Michael Gibbons from Carlton. Yeah. He's another one sort of like James Podsiadly, who had a very long VFL career and managed to find his way in. So there are a lot of guys in your situation, and I guess for me it is really interesting to see you sort of saying to yourself, okay, AFL's done for me, but I want to stick in VFL and now make a VFL career, because it's the second best league. Well, it's the second best football league in the world. So it's nothing to scoff at. And I guess is that why you sort of decided to move to Williamstown?
Yeah, it sort of got to a point where I was at Coburg for 3.5 years, and I probably won 10, 12 games. Like, I thought I gave it everything I got there at the footy club, and I just wasn't getting any success, like, on the field. And I just thought there was no change happening there. And that's where I thought, I'm coming into my mid-20s, like, something's got to change. And that's when, Collie called me, and I just jumped at it straight away. And yeah, I haven't looked back. I love the joint, and hopefully I can spend another 4 or 5 years there and do a bit better than what we did last year. But that's pretty much how it all panned out.
Yeah. Do you want to touch on last year?
Yeah, can do. It's obviously frustrating. But looking back at it now, and I'll forever look at it, like, we had an amazing team, and we didn't get the chockies on the game day, and we came across a bloody good team in Richmond. But looking back at it now, like, we had some superstar players out there, and it was almost an honour to be alongside guys like that, and to play in such a big game like that. Hopefully I'll play in a couple more. I can go one better, but it was a pretty good game.
It was one of the best games of footy I've been at. Obviously the last two shots were pretty hard to see.
Touchy subject, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a few nervous Richmond fans around who were getting a bit lippy, but it was a incredible game, and I mean, it's definitely nothing to shake your head.
It would have been a lot more stressful to watch than play, I'd assume. Out there, I was nervous, but I probably wouldn't have been as nervous as guys like you watching. But lifelong Seagulls fan. It was tough for me to see the boys. Was that the only game you went to throughout that year?
That's the only game. Sorry, man.
That's all right. That's all right. No, I'm all about that. Come to the big games. That's all right. It's too cold to come out to Williamstown for you anyway. It's too far.
Yeah, you'd never catch me coming to watch you play at North Ballarat or somewhere like that.
What if I buy you a beanie and a raincoat? Would you come out there?
Oh, I'm all for free merch. Yeah, so we can. Yeah, we'll take care of that. I think that's probably why I never played VFL. I can't deal with the cold.
And Williamstown's probably the worst place for it. That and Casey, and now North Ballarat's out of the comp, so it's probably just us two. But every second game, like, it's blowing at Brendan Gale. That's probably what was a big decision if I didn't go there. Like, the weather, that's a big turn off. I reckon I got one kick there when I was playing at Coburg. When I played there 3 times, I reckon I averaged about 10 touches every game. I just couldn't get near it. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so hard to read, especially when you're like a visiting team. Like, you go there, you just don't know what the wind's doing, and like you come up against a Williamstown, and they know exactly where to kick the ball, how to plan for it.
Yeah.
So
How to
it's, and
defend
they're
it.
just
Yeah.
weathered. They're just all weathered players. Usually when I was playing against them, like it was tough. They just we're training in it every second night, so you're almost just used to
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. No, definitely not for me. I mean,
it. Good for you.
I couldn't get a sniff out of Division Three reserves, um, but look, um, let's talk about this year. Obviously, the only comp really playing is the AFL. So you go through a whole preseason, basically after losing a grand final, which you probably had a fair whack at winning. What's the
Sleepless
season
nights.
been?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's it been like for you, like going through this whole thing and sort of, I mean, because it is, if you essentially can look at it as it's a year off your career,
Yeah.
which it's not much fun, but maybe talk about sort of, I don't know, what sort of contact do you have with the club and the players and sort of how you've been training.
Yeah, so basically how it all worked, we've done a full preseason up to probably late March, I reckon it was, and then that's when the lockdown happened and the season got canned. It just got cancelled for then, I think, for a period, and then I think it was early June. We ended the competition ahead, I reckon, early June. So we trained there for about probably a month. I think we trained for 2 or 3 Saturdays, and then we got into full-time training, so three nights a week. And then we found out that the season got canned again, and that's where it was like frustrating because most of it just trained the house down. And then we had one of our best pre-seasons, or most of us did. I certainly did, and we wanted to make amends on last year, and it was awkward through that lockdown because you find out the season's done and you don't know whether to have an off season and or keep training. But the only option really at the end of the day was to keep training because you could get a call any day to find out the season's still going ahead. This is the date, blah blah blah. So it was probably a good sort of 6 to 8 weeks where you're training and you're thinking in your head you're doing all this work, but you're not sure if you're going to be playing or not. And I was just training with a mate from the footy club, and we did train pretty hard, but it was so hard mentally to get up for those sessions because you're thinking like, I'm training, but what is this season not going to end? So pretty much you're pretty much training for nothing. So, and looking back at it now, we did all that training for nothing. So
Yeah.
And then we obviously got back to training, and everyone's up and about, thinking the season's going ahead. The numbers are down in terms of coronavirus. And they started picking up again, and that's when all local comps started getting called off. And we were thinking, we might be a chance here to get the season going. And I reckon, more and more local comps got called off, and we're almost like, when's our day? Our day's we're going to get called off any day now. So, and then it got to, I think, early July. We had a first day, booked in to play Port Melbourne, I think, and the season got canned early July, and that was pretty much. And here we are now. So hopefully we can get a season running next year, and things can go as normal as it should be.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's have a quick look at next year. We're going to have a few NEAFL teams come into the comp. What are your thoughts around that? And having the opportunity to go up to Queensland to play in non-North Ballarat type environments.
I know. What I was thinking when that first came out, how Queensland and or the Gold Coast or even New South Wales teams going to come down in the middle of July and play against us in Williamstown? Like, how are they going to go? Like, they'll get frostbite, won't they, on the ends of their fingers?
I'm more worried about your skin and the Queensland sun when you go up there than them coming down here. Yeah.
The requirement taking sunscreen out there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not going to be. That's not going to be. That's not going to be fun.
No, but
Um,
I did when we were training, and I did hear rumours that if the season wasn't going ahead this year, that they were going to look at doing a season something similar to that. And yeah, I was pretty keen on that. I was like, oh, if the season doesn't go ahead this year, like at least next year's going to be looking pretty good. Like you get 4 or 5 teams coming in from other states, and you're flying, 2 or 3 times during the year, and it'll be good fun, and you're playing in different conditions and whatever. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Hopefully, all standalone clubs can stay where they are and be as normal as they can, and no AFL alignment joins with us. That's the aim. I've heard rumours that I think we're going okay. I think we'll be right, but you just never know.
that's it.
But yeah, I'm pretty keen on it. I like the idea. Obviously, it's going to be a bit more of an issue for teams up there. They've got to travel probably every second week, which could be difficult for them. But looking forward to it, seeing what they're like, seeing what the competition's like up there, and hopefully, get a couple of nice days up there and play against them. So that should be good.
Yeah, I think it. For a traveling side, those are, especially when you're playing like a state comp, those are sort of probably the days or the trips that you probably look forward to the most. So yeah, definitely an interesting concept.
Competition up there, and the conditions will be good. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's a very interesting concept, which yeah, I'm looking forward. Maybe I'll get out and watch. Maybe I'll go on a little away day trip.
If I get you a membership, would you come out to Williamstown and watch a few games?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
We all talk.
Yeah, no. I'm definitely happy to get down and support.
The first and last game don't count because that's when the weather's good. So it has to be like you got to stick fat. You got to go through June, July, stick it out.
Man, I've been sticking fat for 30 years. I've been. That's all. That's the only thing I know how to do is stick fat. So
well, it's not like you can watch Port Adelaide on the weekend. They're playing over in Adelaide, so
I know, and I don't want to go to Adelaide ever. So, but yeah, no, we'll come down. Maybe we'll get the club to sponsor the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can get one of the boys on once a month. We can do a little player profile, a little bit of media,
bit of me time.
Yeah, nothing wrong with me time.
Nah, it's fine.
Probably why I'm doing this. Look, mate, we'll wrap it up there. I just have to ask you one question. I heard a rumor that when you were playing at Eltham, you were asked to sign a jumper for a sponsor, and they said you got to put your number on it. And someone told me that you put your home phone number on it. Is that correct?
Yeah, this isn't a great memory of mine. So what happened was, I think it was after one of the flags we won, and me and Marcus had to sign a jumper for it to go up at the footy club or something. And I think the president came over to my house, and me and Marcus signed it. And I went first, and obviously I haven't signed anything ever at that time. And I did my signature, and then underneath I did hash. And then I went 9439, and then the president pulled me up and said, "No, you idiot! What are you doing?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" I had no idea what he was talking about. He goes, "No, your fucking player number, you dickhead." Oh, fuck. So I was fucking embarrassed after that. Like, everyone was hanging it on me.
No, that's an incredible story.
It's still there to this day. I think it has hash 943 and then a line through it, and underneath it's hash my normal number 26. So
that's great.
Yeah, I think everyone's seen it now.
All right, mate. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much for coming on and giving us an insight into yourself and your career, and all the best for the future.
Beauty. Thanks, Boz.